Hello, hello. What's
Hey
up?
there.
Can you hear me, man?
Perfectly. Looking
All
fresh as
right.
always.
All right. Well, we should be live. We should be live now. So I guess we're gonna just give it a few minutes for people to join. And if you guys can hear us, all right, then maybe just say hello in the chat, and that way we know it's all working. Because man, I'm a noob at this whole like live stream thing, and every time I do it, I'm like, I don't even know if this is working. Um,
It's
let
always
me
a bit
see.
nerve-wracking, isn't it? It's kind of fun.
All right, so this is our second water cooler, which is the official name of our live stream. So welcome everybody. This one is a particularly exciting one. Obviously, I think by now most people know that we have announced Glaze yesterday, which is the second product by Raycast. Also, last week we finally announced the release date of the new Raycast, which is something else that everybody's eagerly waiting for. And so since we decided that we want to do a live stream every month, and we said it would be on the first Thursday of each month, it just so happens, and I promise this was not by it was not on purpose, unlike some other stuff that we kind of plan very precisely. This just so happened that today is the first Thursday, and yesterday we launched Glaze. So it's actually a perfect opportunity to use this live stream to talk about Glaze and to talk about the new Raycast. So that's why we've got Thomas here today as our special guest. And Bruno is on holiday, so we hope that he's not watching this right now and enjoying his time off. And so here we are. Thomas, welcome, man. How you doing?
Thanks. Good, good. Yeah, I'm glad that I missed out the first one of the live streams. I think I was in Berlin back then, if I remember
Yeah,
correctly.
yeah.
So
You were doing the
couldn't make.
AI hack week or something, no, with the
Yeah,
team.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, you did it on a Thursday, which I was planning to fly home, but then I got stuck there because the whole city was iced for like 2 more days, and then
Oh
we made
wow.
our way home on Saturday instead of Thursday back to London, which
Oh,
was
but did you drive
kind of
there?
fun. No, we didn't drive. Like basically, all flights got cancelled, and then Andreas and myself had to go back to London. And the only way to get there was taking a train from Berlin to Frankfurt, and
Oh
then
my
from
god,
Frankfurt with a plane back to London. It was
man.
a fun journey.
Yeah. I've only been to Frankfurt once. That was many years ago. It was actually with Benoit, who
Nice.
some people from the chat they might know who Benoit is from Radix. He works at Raycast now as well.
Yes.
And we went there once, and yeah, there was not much to do there, man. To be honest, unless we went to the wrong places.
No, yeah, I grew up close to Frankfurt, so it is a bit like home turf for me. And there was this joke when everything broke down, we would have stayed with my parents. So Andreas would go with me to my parents and stay there for a night, which would have been a fun story, but we dodged that bullet and then we went
That
straight
would
back.
be a nice team bonding experience.
For sure.
Yeah. Cool, man. So got a kind of pretty loose agenda. We don't need to follow anything too structured for this. I think the nice thing about live streams is that we have the chat going on. It's also a way that we can kind of answer some of your questions. So if anybody has some questions, whether the questions are kind of now or throughout the stream, what we talk about, the things that we're talking about. We actually have Steph here in the background. She refuses to join the stream, but one day we're going to get her on. And so Steph is going to be kind of filtering the questions and bringing them to our attention. And hopefully we'll notice them, because I realized last time I just didn't even pay attention to them. Um, so
We're still
um,
figuring that out here. Go with the flow.
so I'm gonna kind of, like I said, it's kind of not too structured, but I thought that we could start by talking a little bit about Glaze, from the point of view of why we built it. How do we feel about the Raycast product line growing? Um, what's the what's the kind of what's our north star with it in a way? So maybe we can just talk a little bit about that so people know where our heads are at and stuff. So why don't you
Yeah,
kick us off?
let's do it. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of crazy. We now, I guess, a multi-product company, which I wouldn't have expected to start 2026 with, but here we are. Um, but yeah, Glaze. So how it's maybe we go all the way back how it came together, because I think that's kind of interesting. Um, I mean, if you build software, basically the last 2 years been a bit of a wild ride. Everything changes under your feet, and I think a lot of us had sort of this, yeah, getting blown away by the progress of the industry. And so we felt no different, and felt like, wow, this is so incredible what you can do now that was maybe 2 3 years ago. And I think whenever we have a bit of a downtime, which happens to be in summer for us usually, our heads start spinning, and then we go in sort of creative mode. And we made this quite deliberately, where we said, like, let's take a week hacking on a few maybe somewhat crazy ideas and see what comes out of it. And one of those ideas was Glaze, that Peter brought up, who just like had this like instinct, hey, let me generate apps with AI for the desktop. And it's like, okay, well, sounds fun, let's try that out. And then within a week, we had basically a proof of concept, and then pretty quickly shared it with the team, and people started building desktop apps. And like, not just engineers, but everybody, right? Because you can just chat to it. And ideas are so fragile at the beginning, but already back then it felt like somewhat magical, because I never experienced something like this before. You chat, you get an app within minutes, and then you get hooked and prompt and prompt and prompt, and it's a whole lot of fun. And so fast forwarding, I think we started working on it pretty much beginning of October, and just a super tiny team. In fact, like, I think just 3 people started working on it initially, who built most of it until Christmas, and then beginning of the year, 2 more folks joined to get it ready for prime time, to get it out, to get where we basically are now, or where we landed yesterday. Um, and even that, like, just from basically October to now, building this entire thing is crazy. And I know people haven't had a chance to try it out, so we try to sort this out as quick as possible when the dust has settled a bit, because we're pretty blown away by the reception. But we had a few like beta testers, friends, family that tried it out already, and what I built is just fascinating. And so yeah, like I had myself like a few holy shit moments where I did not see that coming. I think I looked up my stats before. I think I sent 3,000 prompts in the last 3 or 4 weeks. So I feel like I'm already highly addicted to this thing, and yeah, just fun. And yeah, I think we're gonna show a bit of like what you can build. And the video that we put out yesterday, all the apps are working examples, right? I think that some people say, oh, this is all made up stuff, but you will see some of those apps today. We always go with like, hey, show, don't tell. And well, here we are. So yeah, it's
Yeah.
a fun journey. It's still like, yeah, still buzzing from the launch, which is a bit more than 24 hours ago now, and it's
Yeah,
still
man.
going.
Just crossed 24 hours. It's been a crazy launch. Like we've done quite a few launches, right? Like Raycast is known for being a product that releases often, although we hear you. We haven't really released in the last few months
Yeah,
as often as we'd like, but in a way we have, right? We've been releasing every week almost. Raycast for Windows, there's updates for Raycast for iOS. And throughout these last few years, we've done many launches, many campaigns, some of them quite, quite big campaigns in a way, like the Focus one, the campaign for Windows. But this was a whole other level. I didn't really know what to expect. Like, of course, when we
no,
built the campaign, when we designed the story behind it, We always have these ideas of where we want it to go. But because this is a completely different product, I think we were a bit like, man, how is this gonna go? Like, what's
Yeah,
the perception of our audience, you know? But it's
yeah.
been pretty good. It's been pretty, it definitely exceeded my expectations.
Oh, I mean, by far, like it's wild. I also like don't think people know how of a rush it was in the last 2 days. I think
Yeah, yeah.
was it Monday evening or even no, it Monday evening we made sort of a 180 on the sound of the video, right? And then Tuesday evening, we've we finalized the tagline, I think, for the website, and then Wednesday we put it all together, and so it's the fun part. Like sometimes you gotta wait for the end, and even the logo, right, and the name itself, they came together in
Yeah.
just like a week before the public launch. So
Oh,
it's
yeah.
pretty wild.
So we did two videos. We did this kind of promo video that's this motion design type of ad in a way, which we collaborated with Bricks and Combustion for the sound, Bricks for the motion, Combustion for the sound. And until the last minute, we were working on it. And in the end, it just like came out beautiful. Like I'm really, really happy with it. So many comments on both the animations of it, like the motion design, as well as the audio design. And then we had the other video that was the kind of walkthrough. We do a bit of a live demo. And just to give a bit of context for people, because I think it's nice to share some of this behind the scenes type of stuff. We were
Yes.
also working on that video until the last minute because we had
Yes.
done the whole video. And in the end, we were like, oh man, we're not very happy with it, you know? Like, we're not happy with because like doing a
It was
live
Friday,
demo
right?
of Beam is not that simple because we don't want to build something too complex, but also something not too basic. So, and also, you know, it's like an app, right? It's not just like a to-do list in React or whatever. So how can we do a demo that's like digestible, like people can see the power of it, but without us doing like a 15-minute demo? Because the point of that video was not just the demo, it was everything else.
Yeah.
So then in the end, we settled with the Notes app, which by the way, I've been using mine actually.
Nice.
Um, and of course, there's been a few comments about it, like, "Oh, but what about Raycast notes and stuff?" Yes, of course, that makes sense. But the beauty about that is that you can choose whatever you want. You can kind of use whatever you like, right?
Yeah.
And we're gonna talk a bit more about this kind of new way of thinking about apps. But then we were working until the last minute for both videos, and then we had everything ready, the brand as well. So shout out to Alex and the entire design team at Raycast. Everybody jumped on board, and we had the brand done in like 3 days. Man, that was crazy.
Yeah. It's pretty nuts. It's pretty nuts.
So talking about getting things done last minute and stuff like that. There's a lot of people that are asking to see Glaze live. And the last live stream that we did, a lot of people were expecting that I would show the new Raycast live, and in the end, I didn't. And I did it on purpose because we're getting ready to launch. We're trying to get things as good as they can be, so we don't want to be demoing things too early. Um, but people are asking for glaze. There's quite a lot of comments about it. So I'm going to pass it on to you and let you decide whether you feel comfortable sharing
Yeah.
sharing it. And if so, let's get your screen up, man. Like, I'm ready.
Let's get it going. So I think it's gonna be fun. Have like a few things prepared, and so
You
then
got
we
it
can take it
prepared?
from there.
All right, all right. Let's
Yeah.
get it up. And then let me just I'll put your screen up, and then I'm also,
Nice.
before you start, I'm just gonna take a look at the chat quickly and see if there's anything that we should address right now before it gets too busy and then I miss everything again.
That's the fun part.
Um, okay, there's one question here from Agawa the Prod. Don't know how to say it, but they're basically asking if there's a different team that worked on Glaze. You want to answer that for us?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, there is. So It's just a really small team, and it's, I think, let's say, roughly speaking, a quarter of the eng team, eng/design team, which is nowadays for us almost the same. But like a quarter of our whole product team essentially works on Glaze right now. That like kind of got a bit like bigger. Initially, it was just 3 people, but yeah, there are just like a handful of people basically working on this right now. And the majority of like the company is still on Raycast and pushing the things forward there with all the stuff that we showed in the video not that long ago, and then a bunch of new goodies that we're still putting in there. So this was like sort of a deliberate choice because we felt to like build something great, you need to have like full focus on it. And we sort of said like, let's go all in. And so Peter, my co-founder, he like led a lot of the development here and pushed this forward. And then I basically on the Raycast train and pushed things forward there. And then recently just came to like help with a lot of the launch material and just prompting apps into existence, which is a lot of fun.
Yeah, man, that's crazy. It's crazy to think how such a small team could build all this.
Yeah, still
Yeah,
blows
let's
my
take a
mind.
look.
Cool. So yeah, these are sort of 2 more fun, small, somewhat gimmicky apps. But I wanted to start with them because I think they're somewhat easy to grasp, and also wanted to show a bit like what you can build, right, with Glaze. Genmoji here, like really the first one that I built. And the whole idea is like we like super active on Slack, and our team loves to like make sort of emojis from each other and upload those. And so I wanted to just make it a bit more of a fun experience. And that was one of my first Glaze apps that I did. So you can easily describe what emoji you want, or even have like here like a randomizer button, and obviously there is an arrow coming. Great start. But let's keep going. It's live stream. And then on the bottom here you have reference images. And so one of the fun things here, you can either take a photo. We showed this in the announcement video. So this is basically the same. Or what we also did, we basically added here like all the avatars of the team. So if I scroll a bit, I find Petro, and then I can ask it to make him a photographer.
I wasn't expecting that
Because
you
he
used
loves
my
that.
photo as a demo.
I thought it's just fitting. There is a bit of sound, but I think I don't share the system audio, but it's like sort of this 8-bit system sound, which is kind of funny.
Yeah.
And I wanted to have this like generative, nice, it changed your hair color.
Oh yeah. Oh,
And you have 2
when I
cameras.
was more blonde, believe it or not.
Oh, really? I didn't know.
Yeah.
And you suddenly got 2 cameras.
Oh, that's good.
But you can basically double click, you get a nice quick look preview. You also can like regenerate in different styles as well, or make it a bit simpler, add more detail, or just ask a follow-up. And then also just copy it. So you copy it and then you can paste it somewhere or store it, right? And this is like quite cool because it like sort of integrates with your file system to get images. We have it connected to basically our Slack to get our avatars, and then to a few more APIs to generate images. And here, for example, it generates first the emoji, then it removes the background because I didn't want to have the background, because like when you upload it to Slack, you want to have it clean. And so the team is using that heavily to just come up with a whole lot of fun and different emojis. And so it became a bit viral internally, which was quite fun to see actually, and it's still under heavy use. So that was sort of the first one that I built over.
Yeah, that was really cool. I think Steph basically went crazy and added like Slack emojis for everybody, you know?
Yes, yeah, I think she's number 1 user for sure.
But you know what?
Um,
Like, I don't know if you've done
yeah.
this with the app already, but it would be cool if from the app you could sort of add it to Slack already. I don't know if that's
Yeah.
even possible through the API. Maybe somebody knows.
I think it's possible. I looked this up. I think there's just like some weird admin permissions you need. Why I didn't add it, because not everybody has this. But yeah, this would be nice. Just having like a one-click add, and you give it a name, and then it just is in Slack right away.
Yeah. It's a really nice little app, though. I kind of really like these micro apps, especially when they're
Yeah.
so tiny like that. Even like even sort of like the cognitive load of them is so small. They just do this one little thing, and
Yeah.
it's quite nice in a way.
Yeah, it's like sort of, yeah, the tiny apps, which is nice, just one purpose. And I particularly put like sort of attention on like the look and feel of it, which I think is also important because that's something which we feel like Raycast has always been great at. They give you like the functionality, but also packaged really well. And we wanted to take that knowledge and put it basically in everybody's hands. So you get a lot of that stuff for free, and it just like one shots a lot of those. And then you can put in your own identity, which I think you would show maybe one later, which feels a bit
Yeah.
more like Petro.
Cool, man. Really nice.
Cool. The other one is sort of similar. It's Peel. And by the way, this app icons here on the bottom, I absolutely love them. Like the Peel one here, I love this holographic effect, and it kind of shows what the app probably does. So you can drop an image. So let me search quickly my close up and then track that in. And so the only thing it does, it removes the background. So it's a bit like similar functionality to Genmoji. And then it just removes the background. And then I can track this out. And then I can just save it on my desktop. And then I preview and you see background gone. And so I could put my image or anything else somewhere else. And this came just from a need where I had like sort of an image which had a background and I want to get rid of it. And then I was like, actually, let me just build a Glaze app for that. And so
Yeah, yeah,
super
yeah.
simple, can copy it, can save it, can go back, drop another one, and that's about it.
I actually really like it that you can just drag it out in a way. Like
Yes.
sometimes it's so much nicer. That's one of the reasons I like CleanShot a lot, is that you
Oh,
can
yeah.
just take a screenshot and then you can just sort of drag that thumbnail onto anywhere you want. And this
Yep.
has that same vibe, right? You just put it in and then drag it
Yeah.
wherever you want. It's really nice.
Yeah. And also, I think like this is something which, like, obviously Raycast is super keyboard optimized, power users. We try to do everything as quick as possible, and arguably you could do some of those app as extensions. But you see, like here, the richness of the apps is just like on another level, and those are like the simple ones, right? We showed like whole more complex ones in our videos and seen crazy things internally. But like the detail that you can put in those apps and the feel is just very very different, which I love.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, actually, like they're like so far the two apps that you've shown, they're quite similar in a way, right?
Yep.
Which also is your decision to make it like that. Like you're always into dark mode and stuff,
Yes.
these kind of minimal apps. But then Nicholas, for example, he's been doing some apps that are like crazy and they all follow the same kind of aesthetic, if you will, right? And they're
Yes.
very different. And I think it's also nice that you have this flexibility. Like by default, it's going to be beautiful, but then if you want to take it to a more personal way, then you can also do that.
Yeah. Yeah, we wanted to make it so when you come with an idea, we try to give you the right sort of interaction model, and it should just feel at home on your Mac. And then when you want to make it your own, we're not restricting you, right? So you can't branch out of that. Because I think like this is sometimes the problem when it's sort of too systemized and you can only do like use the components that are available. It works until it breaks, right? And so we thought we're gonna start in providing you like really good and yeah default solution. But if you want to go wild, you can do that yourself as well. Like
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
totally fine.
definitely.
That's somewhat also the fun part about it.
Yeah, talking about this, there's a question actually, which is whether there are any limitations on what Glaze can do. Can you, for instance, draw on the screen with transparent windows?
Yeah, I mean that should be doable. There is, it sounds almost not believable, but there is no. So far, we haven't seen limitation. So if you can do it, like on the desktop, somehow you can do it with Glaze. It sometimes needs like a bit more creativity to get there, but usually it gets it pretty well. So drawing on your screen with sort of like a transparent overlay, I think this should be doable. So I saw already like somebody built something to draw, so that's totally doable. And so on the transparent like overlay mode, I think that should be doable as well. So yeah, And then to the other limitations, I mean, it can access your files, APIs, which I used in those examples. All of that works pretty seamlessly. And we also want to make it so that it feels super easy to do this. We're not there yet, but this is like why we're in a beta. And we just want to make that a lot of those integrations are there. So if you need an image generation model, you have it. You don't need to set anything up. If you want to connect to your Google Calendar, it just works, this kind of stuff. So we want to make it really simple and remove more and more of the complexity of building great apps.
Yeah, definitely. A lot of people are asking you to open that red folder, Thomas. Don't know, don't know how private that is, but
Yeah, I
is that
mean,
part of a demo as well?
unfortunately not. I just like had the whole crap on my desktop, and then I put it in a folder, and then I thought like, how do I name this folder? And then I came up with this emoji, which is very intriguing. So I
Yeah,
gotta keep that
you,
one
I think
closed.
you made people curious with that one.
Um, Nice one. Okay, I have a few more. They're a bit more team related. So those are two other apps. This one I shared, which I called Blogger, and I'm in love with this app icon, which is this pen, and it has some tint on it. But we fell into this pattern of over the last week. Is like, hey, we want to use Glaze to like launch and build Glaze, and so my job was writing a blog post and trying to distill all the thoughts we had into like a manageable format. And when I write, I want to use AI to like help me write, but I don't want to have AI just write everything for me. So I'm in this mode oftentimes where I write things down and then I go sort of like, okay, go over it and give me a bit of like new ideas and critique. And that's what I build in an app. So you can have different blog posts on the left, create new ones, and then this is the one which we published. And you see here like a few lines, so I left them that we can look at them. And so this was basically added by AI. And so if I click on this, you see like the assistant, and it gives me like the context, what it has, and why I want to make this change. And then it shows me the change, and obviously has like an M dash as every AI model does. And then I can easily decide to reject or to accept, and then it will basically make that decision for me and
Yeah,
do the replacement.
yeah,
And yeah, this one is maybe a small one. So this one tries to connect it a bit more. But for example, I like this just punchy line at the end to like make people want to like try it. So I'm probably going to reject that. And so that's how I sort of did it.
yeah. That's really nice. I remember when you showed it to me, I was like, man, you're crazy. You should be writing the blog post. You just built an app for it, you know? Like,
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if it
but it's
was
amazing.
procrastination or
Yeah,
or like fun, but it was like a fun ride and got me there.
yeah, 100%. I mean, if you can, why not?
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
and I really like the how immersive the whole thing is as well, you know? Like,
Yeah.
it's a funny thing with AI because obviously a lot of things can be done just like on an AI chat app. Like for us, especially, we've got AI chat in Raycast. We can talk to any model we want. And I often use AI chat for things like that, you know. But then you're
Yeah.
kind of taking it out of context, right?
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
you don't want to write a blog post in a AI chat UI because it's not optimized for that.
No.
But
Yeah.
in that case, then you can kind of do both at once, and I think that's really nice.
Yeah. And sort of how I did it, I was like in this focus mode, right? So everything blended out. I had this full screen, just me and my text, writing it, big headphones on, and then it felt
Sounds like
really
a
like
nice night
collaborative.
out.
Yeah, exactly. And then it was really sort of this collaborative aspect, almost like I would send you the blog post and then you come back. It's like, hey, I would probably change this and this and that. And it's like, oh yeah, I agree with that. But actually, I think this line can be even better. So I'm gonna rephrase that. So I
Yeah, you
just
know
felt like
what?
this.
Like, because when you sent me the post, I ended up copying the whole post that you had, and then I created a Notion page. So
Yes.
within Notion, I could review and then add inline comments because I wanted to highlight the phrases where I had some thoughts about, right? But
Yep.
imagine how amazing it would be if like we had this app as well, because this is probably like an internal app for the
Yes.
Raycast team, and you could just mark that as like you know, say like a public post that everybody can see, and then
Yeah.
right there and then we could contribute, collaborate, leave some feedback. So yeah, that's a nice little feature request for you.
Yeah, I mean, I think collaboration and this whole aspect of team is something which we very aware of, and like we got ton of great signups on the waitlist that want to build sort of internal tools. And I think it's quite cool to build these very specific tools, which like before you wouldn't do it because it's too hard to build it.
Yeah,
But here you can now build purposeful tools, which sort of I did, for example, with the one here on the right, which is another sort of like small app. And we have our Monday morning team meetings, which is usually an hour long, give or take. And the team meeting is basically everybody demos what I did the week before. And it's like one of our cultural moments. We all come together, having a blast, getting blown away what people built during 1 week. And we record all of them. But then they're ending up somewhere in like a Zoom page deep down, and Daniel has to go and dig them out and get a link with a password and all of that. And when people then were on holiday, they can then rewatch it. And so I thought, like, well, why not build a little app for that so people can browse all the meetings we did, right, since 2023. And then they come in here and then they can download because they may be flying home from a holiday or something like that and want to watch it on a plane. Or they can also just show it in basically just like in here, right? So it opens up and it loads it and then it plays. You can resize that window. You can make it your own. You can put it that it stays on top of your other windows, so it floats. So you maybe want to like work and watch it on the side, make it full screen. And this shows again, like the apps are like multi-window now, right? It's like you have like a proper Mac app which acts like that one.
yeah,
So I think like this is pretty cool. This was a fun one that I did sort of on the side while doing other stuff. And you can also speed it up, for example, if you like Benoit who want to listen to everything on 2x,
yeah,
you can speed it up and have a blast with this as well. And so yeah, like these are the thing that I would never think about even building, right? But as soon as building becomes commoditized and easy, like your mind sees like solutions in way more many places, which is super exciting.
yeah, for sure, man, for sure.
So yeah.
Got a question here. I think maybe it's a good time to talk about this one. I'll put it up on the screen and I'll read it for you because I don't think you can see it, right? Because you only have one
Yes.
monitor. But basically, Interguy22, oh man, I love reading this username, is asking about some insights in building desktop apps using Codex, for example, versus Glaze. And
Yeah.
is there, I think it's a good question because in a way, like obviously you could use a lot of different AI models to kind of ask to build
Yeah.
anything you want. So maybe you could talk a little bit about what is it that makes Glaze special for desktop apps?
Yeah. So let me walk us like a bit back a few steps. And I think the progression that I've seen, like myself, because I'm still coding like a ton, is well, first we were writing our code. Then we got auto completion with AI, which like was the first step, right? Then we jumped over to a chat where we describe more what we want to build and the agent builds it for us. But we were still very much tied to the chat, right? And I think then Cloud Code was, I think, sort of the first interface which like put the code secondary. Like if you're in Cloud Code, you usually don't look at the code too much until you're like maybe doing your git commit or whatever. And then Codex, I think, went similarly, but put it in a separate app to like own the entire user experience, right? But still in Codex, you like can see the code and does all of that. Like we went a step further and said, what if you just like chat and see the app, chat and see the app? And so for that, what we have to do is like, yes, write a code, but then also packaging it up, making sure that it runs securely on your Mac, giving it an icon, making sure you can easily share it with a link to somebody else. So if you like put it in the store, the next person can download it, similar to our extensions, and it works the same way as it worked for you. And so we basically thought much more about let's build an entire platform that you can build what you want and are not limited. And all the apps that are shown to you today, like I haven't looked at the code. I built them by looking at the result, and it's like, oh, this is not what I wanted. I wanted to have it a bit different, and it's a very different experience, which as an engineer myself, I had to sort of get used to, because we obviously like care a lot about the code and stuff. Um, but I think like that's like one of the big differences with Glaze. You're much more outcome focused. I want to have that. I have this problem. I want to have a solution for it, or I have this idea. I want to put it in existence, and then you start. And it's this whole package where you start with a prompt, and then you have the app in the dock, and then you publish it, and then somebody else can download it, which feels very magical, because like you haven't done anything else than speak your native language and hit a few buttons. And so that's like, for us, from what we've seen with the early testers we have, including ourselves, is a very weirdly disruptive moment where you ask sometimes like, hey, can you build this for me? And you like borderline think this is not possible, and then it comes back with something, and it's like, wow, okay. So yeah, that's, I think, for me, like sort of the change. Like we have like IDEs which much more target engineers and care still a bit about the code, whereas Glaze is like, you create apps. That's what we do, like nothing else. And I think that's a very different sort of experience.
Yeah, 100%. Like I've always been skeptical about coding in a way that I couldn't see the code. Like it took me a while to kind of embrace Claude Code, for example. I was just always in
Yeah,
Cursor because I really liked the code was primary and this sort of chat was secondary, even from an UI point of view.
yeah,
Now, of course, even Cursor is going in that direction that you can just have the agent view, right?
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
so, but now it just kind of feels like I feel like the more you use it, the more you start to become less skeptical as well, right? Because you start seeing the code and you're like, man, oftentimes this is better than what I would have written, you know?
Yeah, I think it's also due to the models got just so good, right? I think
Yeah.
just end of last year, I think when Opus 4.5 came out, this is when like this new era started. Before, I think you could do it, but it wasn't there yet. And with Opus 4.5, it felt like, wow. And then Codex 5.3 and those models, they basically push this forward. And I like this saying, the models we use today are the worst models we will ever experience.
Yeah.
And if you start thinking about in that way, it's like things change rapidly.
Yeah. 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 Talking about that is crazy because I kind of like you kind of get overwhelmed so easily nowadays by trying to open your Twitter timeline or I don't know anything product hunt. It's like,
It's
man,
wild.
every day there's so many new things coming out. Everything advances so much faster that we can even keep up with. And it's funny because it almost feels a bit like ironic to say that because yesterday we launched Glaze and people were saying that as about Glaze, you know. So it's like non-stop right now, you know. Everybody's just doing one thing and pushing it, and like other people get inspired by that and they remix that idea and they go forward again. So it's kind of an interesting time. But another thing to highlight about Glaze specifically, aside from the fact that it's obviously built for desktop apps, I think that he's kind of the main differentiator.
Yeah,
It's also that, like, often, like, I'm quite opinionated when it comes to how things look most of the time. Like, I want things to look in a specific way. I'm not happy with just like anything, you know. But I think that when I think about desktop apps, it's not my area of expertise. You know, like I come from building websites, web apps,
yeah,
and I always had this idea of building a desktop app for a very specific workflow. I can maybe show it quickly later.
yeah. Go for it.
Um, Actually, I'll show it. Do you have any more demos?
No, like I think those were the ones that I sort of had prepared. I mean, I have ton of more apps, but we're gonna keep some for another day, I
Oh yeah,
guess.
all right. Let's keep it for another day. So what I'm trying to say is that like the idea of building a desktop app to me was always slightly too far. I was always like, man, like I'm not quite sure how to do it. I'm not even sure like how to start it up. And I could have just used Claude Code or anything to build it for me, but even then it just feels like a few steps too far. Like I still need to think about the UX, the kind of desktop like paradigms, these sort of like experiences that feel native. And so when Glaze came out, um, of course, at the beginning we were all testing stuff, but maybe 2 months ago, when it was getting really, really powerful, that's when I decided to build my hyper personal app, which is Scenery. They just opened in a new window here. So let me move it here. Let's see where did it go? Oh, here it is. Yeah. Let's see. Oh, it's all the way over here.
Yeah.
Can you see
Ooh,
that?
dark mode. Yeah, it's new for you.
Yeah. I mean, that, check out this wallpaper, man.
Yeah, it's pretty slick.
Oh, that looks clean, oh. So I built this like super hyper specific thing. I'm gonna do a whole video about it because it's so deep that it gets complex to explain so quickly. But essentially, I get a lot of photos sent from the lab from my analog rows, and they get digitalized. And once the lab digitalizes them by scanning the negative, they send me a zip file. And often I need to kind of like unzip the file, and then I open. I have like a folder just like a folder on my file system where I have all of my cameras, and inside each camera, I like to basically put all of the rows here, but they kind of follow a specific naming convention. That at the beginning, if you look at some old rows, I was not doing that, and then with time, as more and more I was receiving rows, I started like figuring out how I liked to archive them. So I had this ID of the number, which is basically a code, a twin check, and then the name of the lab, and then the name of the film. So then slowly I could start building this system that I could archive them in this consistent way. But it was a bit of a pain to do that because I had to kind of look inside. I don't want to open photos now. I'm not actually sure what's inside of them. Um, and and obviously like look at them and try to remember. And then the workflow would take me like 5 minutes. It's not that much time, but when you have to do it every week, it kind of adds up. You know what I mean? And so I built this app where I can just drag the folders in here, and you unzip it for me. And let me actually see if I can get one just to test. I should have some here. Let's try this one. Just gonna quickly check what's inside. Yeah, this is fine. This is from our offsite, wasn't it? All right, I think it was this one. So I can drag it in here. So now it's loading, right?
Nice.
Let's see. And then inside of that zip file, there's all of these folders. So these are all of the rows I dropped at the lab, and then they got back to me. It's like, hey, these are your digital photos. This is from some trips. A lot of this is from Japan, actually. And when I look at them, I can kind of like remember a little bit like which film I use, because I only use like 2 or 3 films. So quite quickly, the app is able to find out what the twin check is automatically just by reading it off the folder. And every lab has a different system, which is quite annoying in a way. But then I can go, oh, this one was with the Leica M6, and I can just do Command K and quickly set that up. Or this was with the, let's say, XP2 row. Then I can do XP2, and then I can put the name of the lab. So just like that, I can then archive it by pressing Command Enter. And while it archives, I'm not going to archive now because I already have this archived. It will fix the dates, which is a problem that a lot of analog photographers have, because when your negatives get scanned, they all have the exact same timestamp. And when you add it to your photos library, all the photos get messed up because Photos doesn't know how to order them when the timestamp is exactly the same. So I basically fixed that by adding 1 second to each photo in the order that they're in, because usually they come in order. And then add to photos means that when I click archive, it's already going to import them to the Photos
That's
app.
cool.
So now it literally takes me a few seconds to just archive all of my rows. And it's kind of fun doing it now, something that was really boring because before, like, I'm just looking at, I don't know, just like moving things around in the file system. Um, so that was like an example of the first time that I became a true like convert. Like my mind was blown. And I started this with Benoit. We are just testing out Glaze. And I was like, oh man, this is nuts. Like I've always wanted this. And nobody will build this app for me. It doesn't exist
No.
because all of these decisions that I made them myself because it just felt right for me.
Yeah.
So this is an example of an app that I've been using a lot. And I honestly don't think I would have built it if it was not with Glaze. And I'm not just saying that because I work at Raycast. Like this is like as genuine as it can be. Um,
I love that app. It's just such a personal thing, right? And I think initially I had sort of a different hook for the blog post for the announcement, where I was like sort of saying, look, every app you use is sort of a compromise, right? Because um, every app that gets built gets not built for a single user, but for, let's say, hundreds, sometimes millions of users, right? And so you always need to make decisions, whoever builds the product, to make sure it fits everybody, right? And so that means you have to make compromises, right? And sometimes a compromise even means like not building the product or feature at all. But with Glaze, you don't have to make compromise because you're building for yourself, or for your team, and it's like you know exactly the problem you have, so you solve that particular problem. um, and even like we saw, sometimes you just do like sort of a throwaway app you're using like for 2-3 times to like figure something out, and then that's it, right? But that's, as soon as like the creation of those apps are different, it's, I think it's something which is like you start thinking very differently about it.
yeah,
So yeah.
100%. And that's a good segue into like this next demo that I have that we kind of touched on it earlier a few minutes ago. But like, so what I started saying, remember I said to you, like, I actually really care how apps look. Like I'm quite
Yes.
opinionated with the visuals and stuff. The thing for scenery, which is the film archiving app, it's not an app that needs to be beautiful. It's an app that needs to be useful. It's like
Yeah.
very utilitarian. And I didn't give any design instructions. I just explained the functionality, and it decided to basically create this kind of sidebar which follows the native one basically the same, right? If you look at Finder and
Yes.
stuff, it decided to put the button here, like the way that these icons work. I don't really care too much how it looks, but it looks native, right? It feels like it belongs. But the other day, yesterday, Alex made an app so we could stay on top of our wait list, right? And it looked nice out of the box. It looked clean, but I wanted it to look in a very specific way because I want to use this app to see how many people are signing up for the wait list, but also I want to be able to like look at the people who signed up and reply to the survey, and I want to be able to invite people. And I just wanted it the way I wanted it. You know what I
Yes.
mean? So what I did, um, I just built my own version of it, even though there was already one that kind of does the same thing, just because I wanted it to look like this. So this is my take on the waitlist app. I might not even publish it, you know what I mean? Like to our organization.
Yeah.
But the beauty of it is exactly that, is that the cost to make an app is so low. I literally made this before we started the live stream. And I spent most of the time just like figuring out how it should look. So now I have, of course, as you guys can see, this is all demo data. Like one of the cool things we can do in Glaze apps is that you can also add settings to it, like app settings type of stuff. So I created a demo mode so we don't leak any sensitive data and stuff like that. But now I've got this app that I can see how many people have signed up, and I can see all of the email address. I can paginate them super fast. And if you have answered the survey, I can cross reference these two entry points that we have. And I can see that out of the 21,000 people that we have here that signed up, this is the number that have actually answered, which, as we said on the website, they will be prioritized to receive the invite. And then I can even filter it by people that have been invited or not. And the cool thing is that I've also been working with Alex on using this app to actually send the invites. So if I click on this button now, it will also go ahead and start sending the invites, which is not ready, by the way. We're going to send them out next week. But once it's out, then in theory, I would have my own way to decide how I want to manage the invites. If there's some people that I want to prioritize, maybe there's some friends that I want to give invites to. So now I have my own way of doing that, and I kind of feel like I hadn't thought about this up until I started making this app, which is the idea that you can just make the same app, but make
Yeah,
it different.
yeah. I think it's a cool part. Like you can just have it your way, right? And there's this whole thing that we think about. Sort of, I think remixing is the easiest term to describe it. So if somebody has some, maybe take it as a base, and then you're sharing it and make it something else. But yeah, kind of, I love that. Like just make it your own, and then can do that.
Yeah, definitely. I just realized that we are like almost 1 hour in. That was
Time
fast, man. Like
flies.
that's the
Yes,
problem. We shouldn't be on a live stream together because we talk too much.
too much chit
But we
chatting.
have a few more things that I want to cover. So let's let's move on a little bit. Let me see. Let me quickly share this again. It's a bit hard to do this and manage the whole stream layout stuff. Maybe I should get a stream deck, but I can't be bothered to have one more thing on my desk. So a quick overview. We launched glazeapp.com, also glaze.app, I believe we should have now, glaze.app.
Yes.
So if you haven't yet signed up for the waitlist, go to glaze.app and take a look. And another thing that a lot of people have been saying is that they love the wallpapers. These are the new glaze wallpapers. And we know how much people love wallpapers. So what we've done, we've actually gone ahead and added these wallpapers to raycast.com/wallpapers, where you also find all of the Raycast ones. So shout out to Alex, to Samuel, to Inga, to Nicholas, to everybody involved in doing this. And also, how crazy does this page look with the Raycast background, the glaze wallpapers next to Raycast wallpapers?
It's
That
pretty
looks
sick.
insane to me. So we've got these new wallpapers now. I'll tweet about them later. So enjoy. And then I just want to highlight this thread from Danny, who is also part of the Ray fam. And he's basically compiling loads of different examples of glaze. So go and check it out. I'll retweet this as well so you can see. And here there's so many. Obviously, there is the synthesizer from Marcelo, the composer for our video, which is insane. Like,
Yeah, this
were you
was.
even expecting that?
Nah, this was just pure mind blowing moment when we got that one back out of nowhere, especially.
And I just love the story behind it, that like he didn't have to do it, but he did it anyway, and he actually used it for the sound. That's
Yeah.
amazing. Then of course there's a bunch of stuff, a lot of stuff from you, the film thing. Then there's this drum pad was crazy from Johan.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not sharing my audio as well.
Yeah.
Some fun ones. I think that's a very important point we haven't really touched on, which is, apps can be beautiful, they can be useful, but they can also just be fun, right? This click counter from Jordan that basically just does what it says, right? That's
Just
amazing.
counting your clicks, but it's kind of fun.
I mean, 5,000 doesn't seem like a lot. I wonder what Jordan's doing.
He's just coding now. He like doesn't open Figma anymore.
Oh yeah, that's it. He's a keyboard first person now.
Exactly.
I've got the agent. This is what I use to talk to my open claw. I've got it right here. I can even open it. So you see, it's not fake. I was asking what's on my calendar earlier, and it connects with my calendar. So he has access to everything right here. So I can just do Hyper P and I can open it whenever I want. Like this is great because before I was using Telegram to talk to
Cool.
my OpenClaw agent, and now I just have it whenever I want with Hyper P. I love it, man. Oh
It's a
man,
nice
so
combo of like Raycast Hyperkey
yeah,
and
yeah.
then Glaze app.
Exactly. And Raycast and Glaze is an interesting thing because there has been quite a few questions in the chat about the integration of Raycast with Glaze. Is that something that I mean, I feel like it's some of it we're still deciding, but is this something you want to talk a little bit about now?
Yeah. I mean, this was something that popped up earlier. I touched a bit on this on the blog post, right? So like one, like basically we feel like everybody gonna have like a ton of more apps that are like hyper personal. So in that case, Raycast becomes even more important because it's this layer that all connects it together. In the easiest way, what you did, launching an app or assigning a hotkey, right, and building your system around this. I think that's sort of the easy part, and everybody gets this. Um, but we got a few questions also how like extensions fit into this whole thing, right? And so we want to make this as deeply integrated as possible. And we have some internal prototypes. So there is like something which we have where a Glaze app can sort of have an extension like thing embedded. And so I think this becomes cool. So thinking about scenery, right? Would be cool to have a command to search all your previous films. And then if you open that, it maybe jumps straight away into the right film and scenery. Or for the notes app that we sort of did for demoing, right? You could imagine you're searching your notes in Raycast because I feel like this is still the fastest way to do things. And then for deeper work, you maybe then jumping into your Glaze app and go from here. So I think like this is a sort of like a nice way to bridge those things. And I think this is also the beauty, be providing both so we can deeply integrate that. So we're not depending on anybody else. Like we are one company, it's one ecosystem, we will both products. So we can make this like super seamless. And we always sort of had this mindset of like, how can we change how people use their computer? And for a long time, this was Raycast and is. But we feel like there are now new ways to like do that, right? And so give everybody like hyper personalized apps, let them remix other apps, let them teams have their own tooling, and then tie it all together with Raycast. I think that's like where our mindset is right now, and it's early days, right? We like to ship early, but also we like to put out high quality stuff. As a lot of people like sort of also commented that they're expecting it from us, so we're also keeping that bar very high to make sure that Glaze is going to be the same quality as Raycast.
Yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure. And the whole thing about the integration is going to be interesting. I think there's some design decisions still, but it just makes a lot of sense. You know, it makes sense that there are things that you can almost infer, like you get it
Yeah.
for free. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like when I was building the film stuff, I actually did create a Raycast command. I made an extension as well, which does something different. The extension was more about sending the zip to scenery and you know, kind of
Oh yeah, nice.
communicating, so I didn't have to do the drag and drop and stuff, you know.
Yeah.
But maybe it's even things like that that you could get for free, you know, like through the
Yeah, I
deal.
mean, that's the beauty, right? When we have everything, we can make sort of some smart decisions for you. Like maybe everything that is in a sidebar in Glaze shows automatically up in Raycast and stuff like that, right? So we can get quite creative. Um, as right now, our focus is basically one, like let you create the best apps possible with Glaze, and then two, get new Raycast out because I think loads of people are very excited about it since we like teased a few things the
Oh
other week.
man, yeah, yeah. Talking about new Raycast, yeah, we have been sharing some stuff. We did a video about it last week, so check
Yeah.
out our YouTube channel. Um, but also there's a few things that we're sharing. we're getting ready for the release towards the end of April, and this is one of my favorite new things. Like the how easy it is now to add a hotkey, to see the conflicts as well. Like
Yeah.
in this demo, that's kind of what I'm showing, but also to remove one. Like
Yep.
in the current version of Raycast, you kind of need to go into settings to do most of these things, and so this is one of those quality of life improvements. It's a much better user experience, and that's kind of one of my favorite things, as well as the settings.
I love that
Um,
one. Like, believe it or not, I think we thought about this thing for years.
yeah,
We just never touched on it. I don't know. Like, sometimes you have these ideas, but then other things come along, and then we said, okay, it's now time. We like sort of wanna crank up what it means to be the best launcher. So we always felt like let's like make it even easier to do some things, and this one is a great one. I think it also improves the discoverability of hotkeys and aliases because some people like haven't experienced them too much. So we think a lot about this kind of stuff. So I that's one of my favorite features. The other one which I love is file search and root search. And I
yeah,
know this is our number one feedback, so ton of people will appreciate that one. Um,
yeah, got
and
that.
yeah, like I got so used to it now, and you can't go back if you got used to it, right? But maybe like spoil a few like technical details there. Like we didn't do it for a long time because we were not happy with the current file search, and mainly basically with the speed. And we basically had to take the detour of building a new system to index your entire hard disk within seconds and keeping it up to date. And so that took us a little while, which then also helped us on Windows because it works there. But on the Mac, it was like sort of the thing that we had to pull off, and it took us a while, and it was technically quite challenging. But I think we got there in the end, and so very happy to do this. But it's like sometimes interesting because features sound sometimes easy, but as the system
Yeah,
grows, they sometimes become a bit harder to integrate, and harder to integrate mainly for the quality bar we have. So we want to make sure that,
yeah,
for example, root search doesn't become slower, and therefore you need to put in like a bunch of engineering to make this work. Um, and sometimes those things like unfortunately take a bit longer, but we made it. So one of my favorite features, and I know that loads of people will appreciate it the same way, which I'm very happy about.
yeah, yeah. No, I mean, of course, from the outside, people often don't know what the technical challenges are, but I talk a lot about the quality bar. Like some things, if they're not good enough, they're not good enough, and kind of even if it sounds trivial. And it's funny, we talk about this because I used to use Alfred. I used Alfred for years, and then I switched.
Yeah, I know when we chatted back then.
Yeah, and when I switched to Raycast, obviously the first one of the first things you notice is the file searching route.
Yep.
And this is the crazy thing, man. Like when you like a product so much, you are willing to change the way that you work. Like you're willing to kind of make some compromises, and you're willing to retrain some of your muscle memory, right? And I
Yes.
did just that. I was like, man, I can't search for my files in the root search, but everything else is so beautiful. It's such a joy to use. And then I just got used to going into search files, right? You kind of
Yes.
go down one level, and then you do that. I even had it as a backup command, so I could do it quite quickly.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then I forgot about it because that's the beauty of our human brains. We adapt so quickly. It's often just got to give it
Blessing and a
like
curse.
give it a chance. Uh, but then we got it. We got file search now in root, and I'm just like, oh man, how did I live without this? Like
Yeah, you get so
even
used to it
realize
again
until you
very
get it
quickly.
again.
So yeah, no, it's really fun. So yeah, this one is one of my favorites. Um, and it's like there was like a load of those little nuggets that we like brushed up and still brushing up. that we want to get right to just like put out like the new version.
Yeah. No, like yeah, I'm excited about it. It's coming out very soon. So I hope that people are going to enjoy as much as we are. Um, all right, I think it's been longer than I thought was going to be. I didn't want this to be like a 3 hour live stream. Like it's not a Lex Friedman podcast or anything.
Not yet.
So I'm going to start wrapping up, and maybe we can just take a look at the chat quickly and see if
Yeah, let's
there's
do two, three questions maybe. Like
any more questions, or if there's anything that we want to talk about. But let me see. Let me go through this. A lot of stuff here. Let's see this one from Fox Alive. Fox Alive, good to see you here. So let's provide info about the pricing model. I assume this is for Glaze. So maybe there's a lot of questions about pricing. Um, I think maybe some of these things we haven't really fully defined. But Thomas, why don't you go ahead and give everybody a little update about this?
yeah, sure. So yeah, there is still a lot to figure out. I'm not gonna lie. I think we want to be as transparent as possible as always. How we think about it at the moment, there is going to be some subscription because, believe it or not, it sometimes also costs tokens to like create those apps. So that's something which we sort of need to cover. I see in the chat people ask with like combination with Raycast itself with the subscription. I think at the start we kind of like keep it separate to figure things out. But we also obviously want to make sure that our pro subscribers are amongst the first to try, and want to make sure that I give this thing a good test. Similar to Raycast, we're also thinking about straight away teams, companies, because we've seen on the waitlist already loads of teams signing up and have great ideas to speed up their workflows. So they're going to be a separate tier for teams, and sort of the main benefit of that, you have your own private store, so you can share the apps just within your company, which I think would be pretty cool. And that's sort of where we want to start with, and then we want to take it quite naturally. And this is also, by the way, where we like doing that as a beta. We always want to work with the community together, figuring out what is the right pricing model for all of that. It's early days. I feel like every week everything changes. So we like taking one step at a time, but you will probably hear a lot more about that very soon.
Yeah, definitely. And I want to quickly talk about the wait list. There's a lot of people asking for
Yes.
invites, asking how can they get bumped up the list, asking whether being a Raycast Pro user means they're going to get an invite sooner. So do you want to give a little update about the invites so we can manage people's expectations a bit?
Yeah, for sure. So first thing first, we pretty overwhelmed with the reception of the launch. So we still sort of going over all our DMs and channels to like trying to answer everybody. So this week we're going to be busy with that. We also want to give the team a bit of space because they were like cranking really hard the last couple of days. So we're going to take it a bit slower tomorrow. And then next week, we want to start sending things out. As we usually do, we start small, we stabilize, we ship fast, and then we're rolling out more and more. Yes, we want to like prioritize obviously our existing customers. So we want to make sure they come. If you sign up, we're also looking into the ideas you share just to make sure that what you want to build is possible and making sure we get you from there. And then one thing which we do, we like basically putting this still together, is we want to do like sort of early access events. So you will hear about that a bit more. We're calling them Glaze sessions, which I really like that term. And it's not meant to be like a hackathon. It's more also not really meetup, maybe even a bit of a launch party, but just like hanging, glazing, having fun, building like some apps, getting exclusive early access, and also hanging with the team, seeing the people who build it, and having fun. And I see Steph is on top and dropping the links. And so I think we start with London, which is our sort of home turf, and then we take it from there. But that's probably the best way to get exclusive early access. But we certainly want to give all Raycast folks access as soon as possible. And I can't personally wait because there are ideas that I can build, but I think one thing that I learned with our whole extensions, what usually blows my mind is seeing the creativity of other people. We've seen this with extensions over and over again, where we like just blown away how much people push the boundaries, what's possible with lists and grids. And so now glazes are just another level. So I'm stoked seeing what people come up with. So yeah, it's one of our top priorities, getting it out there.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And good shout about the glaze sessions. I wasn't unsure whether you're gonna say that, so that's true. Maybe the next one will be in the next couple of weeks. We're trying to just do it, like the same as every Raycast event. We're just like, let's just do it. So Steph and I are kind of trying to work out how we can get one. And so yeah, it's going to be a pretty chill thing, and that might be the best way to get access and to get to hang out and build some apps. And yeah, man, I'm very curious to see what people are going to build, because there's still Raycast extensions today that blow my mind. I'm like,
Yeah.
never thought that would be possible. So yeah, I think that's a nice note to write everything up, to wrap up everything. So yeah, thanks everybody for coming, and we will see you at the next Watercooler, which will be on the
Yeah.
first Thursday of next month. All right.
Yes. Thanks for tuning in.